Welcome everybody to our Yacht City Lunch and Learn. I am Winston Castillo. I am the HR coordinator from the Southern Block. Today we are going to talk about using Katalon to create easier automation with Andrea Polanco. She's going to launch already in your hand and you are excited to learn. So let's start, Andrea.
So, welcome everyone. Today, as Winston mentioned before, we're going to talk about how we can use Katalon to create an easier automation. As an automation engineer and QA engineer, this tool has saved my life before. So let's get started. But first, we need to know what's Katalon and what is this tool about. So Katalon is an IDE for test case generation with cross-platform execution. Is on all-in-one test automation tool where you can test web, mobile, desktop, and even API testing. And the best part of it is that it's built for beginners and expert testers. So as I mentioned before, Catalan scope on testing is huge. You can go from desktop automation to mobile automation, just using the same IDE and the same tool. Before going deeper into Catalan, we need to talk about the different ways a test case can be built. First, we have the automation perspective, which is build, well, before going into that, we need to know that automation has pros and cons, and we need to check all of them. So we, with automation, we have test cases are executed by an automation tool, no human resource needed. We have faster test case execution, but for the cons, for trivial change on the UI, the scripting needs to be modified, so you cannot allow random values. But on the other half, as manual QAs, we need to understand that tests are executed by humans, so which means can be random. Is the concept that is time consuming, but the plus is that you don't need any programming experience. Knowing that, I want you to know that Catalan combines both positive of automation and manual into one tool. So Catalan, as all software tool in the market, has its own competitors. So for analyzing this comparative, we need to see the 5 key features of any automation tool nowadays. So then, first we have test development platform. For Catalan Studio, we have that is cross-platform. But we have competitors like UFT and Test Complete that only can be built on Windows. Also, since Selenium is built on under the hood of Catalan, it's using cross framework too. Also, another feature is application under test, which was I mentioned this before, is the scope of Catalan itself, the application that can be tested. As I mentioned it, Windows desktop specific applications, webs, mobiles, API, and also web services. Selenium can only do web apps. UFT, which is popular, can do the same as Catalan and also Test Complete, but it's not the same. So let's go with the scripting language. Catalan includes a scripting language known as Groovy, which is built on top of Java. It's just as easy as Python. We will see that in with Python, Perl, JavaScript, etc. UFT just can use the old school Visual Basic scripting, and Test Complete can use the same language as Selenium. So, what about the programming skills that we need for use Catalan? For Catalan, you don't need to know any about programming. You just need to know the basics about testing, doing manual testing. But if you would like to do like an advanced scripting, you will need to know something about programming, but it's not necessary. In the other tools, just for Selenium, you need advanced skills. And finally, but not less important, we have the learning curves. So for Catalan, learning is like a moderate level. But for the others, it's a little bit higher since their UI is a little bit complicated. So knowing that, let's keep going. So here I'm gonna show you with a few points how Catalan will improve your QA processes and your QA department. So here we have the first point. Manual tester can create test case without writing a single line of code. This is important because usually manual testers in a QA department are more people than QA automation. So if they can do automation without writing a single line of code, that will improve the performance of the department. So, the second point, QA managers can access and use the report tool easily. That's because Katalon sends emails of the report, also build PDF, CSV, and HTML reports, which are we're gonna see that in a moment too, which are really simple to check. The third one is that support data-driven test cases. There are many frameworks that you cannot like have a spreadsheet and link your test case to the spreadsheet. Katalon makes that easy. And since a lot of companies has many data that they need to like many test data that need to be tested with a test case, this is helpful. And the last one is that the programming language Groovy make things easy. Since it's just like Python and it's simpler, you don't need a semicolon or a structure, nothing like that. You will learn easily the tool, and for the department it will be easier too. But we need to know that every great tool has its limitations. You can use Catalan for free, of course. If not, I will be here. But there are some things that you need to know that are like a paid version for a paid version. The first one is the CI/CD for building like your test case in the cloud using CI/CD, but using the IDE because you can do that on code. You need to it's a freemium limit. It's like a paid feature. Also, the database connection. You can connect to the database on Groovy, but like using the IDE, that's not possible. The advanced web element recorder, that's not necessary because you have a regular web element recorder, which is free, the execution scheduler, and the self-healing execution. It's not like a stopping for using the tool because it's not like many, let's say, many features that they can take, but it's important to know. So let's see the strengths and the limitations of the tool itself. So this translates, you don't need any licensing to do because it's free. Well, the part that is free, you just need to pay for like let's say more features like that I mentioned before. You can integrate Catalan. That this is the second one with the frameworks like Jira and many other frameworks I don't remember right now. TestRail, Qtest, etc. You can integrate Catalan with test management systems. And also it's built on top of Selenium, but eliminated and deleted the need of programming skills, of advanced programming skills. And the best one and my favorite is that it has a store. Yeah, you can build a plugin, and you can upload your plugin to the store. You can sell it. Also, you can download any plugin that is free and use it. So let's see its weakness and limitations. Since it's an emerging solution, and it does have a quickly growing community, just really features, and since Catalan is almost new, it's been hard to fulfill all of them. The feature set that the tool provides is still evolving, since as I mentioned before, it's new. And the last one of its limitation is the lack of choice of language. But I guess Groovy is really enough since it's simple. So let's analyze the framework structure. Okay. So as you can see, first we have the profiles. Hold on a second. First we have the profiles. Since usually on the QA department we manage different environments. We're gonna see that now. In a moment I'm gonna give a zoom, so you're gonna be where it's all that I'm talking about. But I'm gonna keep going. So you have the profiles. The profiles are for managing different environments. Then you have the test case. This is where you build your test cases. And inside the test cases, you have like three views. You have the manual scripting. You have the manual scripting, no, manual test case building, scripting, and variables, which are for building the test case. We're gonna see that in a moment. Also, we have, this is really important, an object repository where we can save our API objects or our web element objects and just call them into the test case. This feature is something I have never seen on other tool different than Katalon. We also have data files where you can create a data file from Excel, and that one is going to be read but by the a test suite. The test suite is a group of test cases, and that would be for this slide. So let's start with the good stuff. Here we have an API testing. We're gonna see the code with Zoom in a moment, but it's important to know that Katalon has its own build library under the name WS or Web UI. So that library has many functions. In the case of API testing, you have send request, which is the function that allows you to send a request for a specific object. On the UI part, we're gonna see the Web UI. So also we can view custom functions under the keyword set, but we're gonna see that just in a moment. So let's start with the demo. Let me share my screen. So, done. So it's important to know that since we are going to do API testing, we need to call a specific API. So I decided to use this cat API because I not like cats and test what it returns. So this API should return any fact about any cat, and we're gonna build it. So first, let's see if you let me like zoom in a little. Okay. So first, let's see what's inside the object repository. No, first let's go to the profile. So let's say that I just have one profile. I define in a base URL for the profile. If I would like to, let's say, create another execution profile for production, I just need to create a profile and I will set the same variable I have here, base URL, in here, and I just can chain of profiles in this combo box right here. Okay, so knowing that I have this base URL is going to be used by the whole application. So whatever I call this variable is going to contain the value of the API. And so let's go here to get the random fact. This API returns a random fact of a cat. Is random. I don't know what's going to return. So let's see that. So as you see here, I have this URL variable, which is going to be mapped in the test case. Let me see. Okay. So let me show you the way you can track that easy your object to the test case. So I define this keylogger because Katalon does have a log view. So in order to print the fact, I would like to be that we can see that in the log. Then I define a JSON slapper, which is going to help us to handle the request, to handle the response. And then we have the functions that that I mentioned to you before. So let's just drag this right here. And that's the simple way to call your object. So when Katalon goes to find this object and goes to the direction, he will go and find the API link that we used before. But since it's using variables, Since you said okay, since it's using variables, we need to declare the variable that we have right here, URL, in order to map it with its current value. So it's like a dictionary in this way. Let me, because this is not looking good. So you will set URL, and this is the way to use a global variable that is on the under the profile variable dot base URL. So let's see. Global is missing a A. Global variable. Yeah, let me see if I have that important here. Usually use this. Exactly. Yeah, I had it wrong, sorry. Okay. So and then after this is supposed to return a response. Then I will declare a JSON response variable in order to save my parser test, and I will print it into the log viewer. So let's see how that goes. So as you can see here, I gave a little bit of zoom. We receive a fact that says, like humans, cats tend to favor one paw over another. So to see if this is really a random fact, let's run this again. You see, Groovy is like any programming language. You can do anything. Force, you can even connect to the terminal of Linux, everything. So don't let the IDE itself be a limitation to use like the tool and the language. So let's see the other fact we got. It says the Synth was originally known as a Canadian hairless cat. The breed originated in Toronto and was renamed to six whatever, and not to the famous limestone sculpture in the Egyptian desert. So, then I guess that will be it for this sample. Let's go to the other one. Sorry. Hold on. Hold. Stop sharing. Give me a second. So, we have data-driven testing too, what I mentioned it before, and this is important because once in a well a lot of time ago, I have a company that was an insurance. I was working on a company that was an insurance company, and they needed to check for 1,000 of insurance like some data, and I did it with this tool with the mapping of data driving test case. So basically, you have the test case here in the left and the bigger, let's say, script, and then you have the test data, which is the test data you're gonna map with your test case, and finally, you have the variables that you have on your test case to map it with the test data. So let's go to the demo again. Okay. So as you see, I have. Let me give a little zoom here, because I rediscovered the zoom just now because I forgot about it. Anyways, let's close all this. Close other. So here we have another request from the same page. It will a random fact of any animal. So we have two query parameters, which are animal type and amount, and we need to map them into our test case. Left this like this on purpose, and so here we have as the request as I mentioned it before, but we need to add the two other variables that were needed. But first, let me tell you that you can save default values on the Katalon variables tab. I have as default value animal type. Well, I have a default value cat and 5. So let's go and run it. Let me copy and paste this. Remember, we are just programmers. We can copy and paste every time. And since I already explained you this, so I have this print right here because it returns an array of because we are asking for more than one element, and that's why I'm iterating over that array in order to see what it got. So I'm going to run the test case right here. I'm going to the data files. First, I'm going to show you what it's like to have to create a folder um, of well a folder now Excel 5 catalog. So here we have the basic Excel file. We have animal type, we have cat and dog. We have an amount of cat. I would like 5, and dog I would like 10 dog facts. That's simple. So let me. I don't want to mess with the file. So let's see, and then we need to create a new data file, and this data file we need to set the first row as header, and it will map like the values that we have into the file. That's important to know. Okay, knowing that, let's see the concept of test suite. Test suite, as I mentioned before, is a group of test cases. And as you see here, we have this option. Let me give a zoom, which is show data binding. We can, when we open this, we can add test data. I already added the test data, but I'm gonna show you anyways. All right. So let me hold on. Let me delete this one because you can just add one. So we're going to look for the file which is cat details. It's a data sheet of Katalon, and we're gonna add it to the test case. Since we have or this is the test case that we have before here, the parse JSON file, the animal type, etc. So we need to map its variable with the header column header of the spreadsheet. We can just do that clicking this button, map all, and it says found two matches. So after that, we can run our test case and we will have the values of the spreadsheet. And we're gonna see just that now. So you will see here on the log viewer that it will run, it says one of two test cases. And then we're gonna, this is when it reports like, it supports the result of the test cases, it reports, we're gonna see that just now. So let's see what we obtain as response. As you see, I got my 5 cat facts. You see, cats here stop at 75 kilohertz. Human here stop at 20. You see, this is cool. And then I got my dog facts. I asked for 10, and I got 10, as you can see here. Oh, this is a weird dog of that area. And let's open one better. Oh, it says about one third of dogs that are surrendered to animal shelters are purebred dogs. Oh, that's nice. Then let's open the, so for in order to see the reports, if you would like to send the manager the reports, you can use this tool, but it's gonna be for another location to talk about this. But we can use also the local report of Catalan, which is simpler and we could get it faster. So we just go to the last run and we export the results as PDF, let's say. It will ask us for where to save it, and we just save it anywhere. Oh, hold on. Let's export this to HTML. Details. Let me hold on a second. Let me close this. Close all. Let's just use another one because it looks like maybe this is not working good. Okay. I'll be closing the tool and open it again. Just hold on a second. This is weird. Sometimes it crashes, but it depends also on my OS. Maybe I have too many things open and that's why it's crashing. So, So here we see a start page. Usually the start page includes some good samples that we can use to for learning how to use this tool. It's important. And let's see, you have a mouse for this PDF. Let's see. It looks like there is something with the tool, so let's keep going. Okay, then this will be it for the data-driven, let's say, demo. Let me leave it right here. So let's go with the web testing. With the web testing, we'd have, let's say, the same library of Katalon, but we have different functions since it's web. We have wait for element, we have click, and we have all we need, and we have also saved the object as CSS selector XPath, and we're going to see that just now. So the concept of the object repository is different from the web project, from the API project. On the API, you have, let's say, API of or web services, but on the UI, you have um, let's say, web elements. So let's go. Let's open the project real quick. This is gonna be real quick because this one is easier. So okay, let's go to our test case. Let's order and check out a single product. So here we have a basic test case, which is, let me just hold that a second. So basically, we have here a test case. We are going to build it, and this is gonna be real quick and real fast. Also, I want to mention that here on keywords, I already have built-on functions that I'm gonna be using since it's easier that way, and this is a good practice. You you don't need to overcharge the test case, and you can use function, and this function can be developed for advanced QA person or even a developer. So here it's important. I'm gonna be using this function, which is login to application with global variables, which we already talked about that. And we are just going to log in into the page. We're going to open the browser, wait for the page to load, maximize the windows, and do our operations for login. So let's start. Sometimes the intelligence of this tool is not working properly. So let's see. Custom keyword. Okay, now we have it. Yeah. So let's look for our login function with global variables. And then we have the first step. So it's saying that, okay, since I need this function, okay, we need to wait. Oh, so now we're gonna use the library, the custom library. Well, it's not custom. The library of Katalon for accessing to a specific object. We're gonna use the function wait on for element to be present, so we can know in order to keep navigating the web page when an element, let's say, is clickable, or in this case, it's gonna be present. Let me wait for element present. So it says is the ink truck object. So let's see how it looks, the object repository of Katalon. So as you see, it's different. We don't have like get post HTTP birds as icon. We just have three dots. And if we open any of this, let's open Inkshot. You can see that you can look the element with XPath, with attributes, with CSS selector, and even with image. I haven't said that, but you can do it. So let's drag this object right here. And set in our global variables, we have a global waiter. So we can, because this function takes two parameters. First one is the object, and the second one is the time that you want to wait. You would like to wait. So let's call it wait present time. So let's start running our test case to see how it looks like, to see if it's working, if it is working or not. Let's say we have an error. Let's see. All right, custom keyword. So I choose the method from global variables. Now it's okay. So now it's running. As I mentioned, it's going to be a simple shopping cart application. As you see, it's opening the application, it's navigating to the link, and it should right, right now. You should look, as you see, it log in the application and the test is successful. So that now we need to keep going with our test case. Let's do it real quick. Let's click on the element that we were waiting for. So we have a custom feature for add the some products to the cart. This function is using well, yeah, no, the checkout function is using the this case variable. This one is not. This one is using global variables. So the same as before, we need to call our custom function and select our custom method for checkout. Checkout with global variables. Then, well, add to cart, sorry. Then we need to use our another custom function. So guys, for you to know, this custom function has clicks, navigates, etc. I don't go in deeper into that because we have a limit time, and I need to show you basically the whole tool. And let's see, um, check out, and I'm just going to copy all this case of values, and then another custom function that was created for logout. Is the when you're reading the test case is really it's very straightforward. You can understand like everything you're doing. And finally, we're gonna use but a function for Katalon for close the browser. Sometimes the citizens don't like me because yeah. So let's run to this case and see how it looks like. This is a basic scripting. It's not like that complicated, which is great for us. Well, for me, when I was a beginner and I knew this tool, and for you too, anyone can learn Catalan and can be an automation engineer without writing a single line of code. So you see, oh, it didn't add anything to the card. I don't know why. Let's see. Oh, because of the ink shot that I probably it's because the ink shot I choose is the wrong one. Is yeah, sorry, it's, my bad. Is this one? I have That's not a good practice to save objects with the same name, even though they're on different folders. So let's try this again. So it's running every process, opening the browser with our custom login function. You will see the user name and password. So now it should be okay. Let's see. I hope it is. No, it should be this one. This card right here. Uh, Let me check. Page account page. Yeah. Yeah, it's this one right here. Let me see. Checkout shop. Oh, sorry. I messed up because I called this function and the wasn't this function. Was the function that I needed to call this add to cart. My bad. This is live, so my bad. Now it should work okay. Okay, let's go. So as you see, the process of rerun the test case is easy too. Everything is easy with Katalon, for real. Okay. So as you see, click on the card and to this product on the card, waiting for the page to load, to render. I don't know if it's because my internet is slow, it hasn't loaded. Okay, it's loaded. But it's well. Maybe sometimes a dummy web page takes a lot to load some data, even though it's a dummy data. But we gotta still wait. Let's just close it and try that again. This is gonna be the last time, I promise. Let me close all this driver. Okay, so let's retry one time. It seems that now it's going to work. Log in again. Just click on the card. Then you see now it's working. It added the object to the card. Is filling the billing details, the country name, etc. So it's gonna place the order. Here we have receive, and it will log out and close the application. And that's the whole demo of this particular scripting part on WebUI. And the last part of the demo is I have a slide for that, but it's not necessary. Is where we can help our manual QAs. So every test case, as I mentioned, has a manual view. You see right here, we have, let's use this test case better. We have this test case that is called order and check out a single product using a coupon. So since it's a good practice to every time you close your test case to close the browser, we'd see that's missing here. We have the custom function created, we just need to call them. We don't need to see any line of code, and we are going to add the close browser function without seeing any line of code. So as you see, I just added a new step. Let me give some stuff. Let me delete this one and add a new step and write my function close browser. And that should be it. You can manage every simple test case or medium test case through the manual screen, and it's really easy. So if you need to drag an object also, you just need to, let's say, to open the object selection, and you can, let's say, okay, let's use Inkshop again. and it will use your object and will set your object right here. So let's see if it works. It will work, I know, but let's run the test case. So this is so helpful. This is like a bonus demo. I didn't, plan it to show you this, but this is the key of the tool that everyone, doesn't matter if it's doesn't matter if it is manual automation, can use the tool and build a framework on top of Katalon framework for your QA department or your company. So as you see, this test cases should add a coupon. As you see, it added the coupon. It's telling the starting up the billing details, and this placing the order. This okay, so it placed the order and it closed the browser. So as you see, this function worked correctly. Okay, then thank you for your attention. Let's start with the answer some questions. Only if you have any comments, that would be great.
Hi, Andrea. We got a bunch of questions here, and even myself, I had a lot of questions for you. Well, let's start with the question from Jose Solorzano, and he's asking, in your opinion, who should be responsible for writing the automation test, the the devs or the QA team?
Okay. Okay, it says. Okay. So a question that it was mentioned um was in your opinion, I don't know if it was not read it because I didn't listen, but I'm gonna reread the question. So it says, in your opinion, who should be responsible for writing automations test, dev or QA? That's an interesting question. I guess it should be both, starting with the developers. The developers should be the first one to let's say encourage the scripting, and then after we have like a strong scripting, a strong framework, or a strong, let's say, yeah, scripting, then it can be passed to the QAs. But it should start with the developers. But at the end, both should write test cases.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what's happening with my audio, but well, I got another question, and I told you that also myself had a question for you. So the next question is about it's Mauricio Sinelli question. Thank you very much for sending it. Do you have an example of Catalan running in continuous integration? It is hard to set up in continuous integration. What do you think about it?
Uh, yeah, okay, sure. I cannot have a sample since I mentioned it that that's part of the premium limitation, but I have used it. I have used the CI/CD before they decided, okay, it's gonna be pay feature, and it's simple. Catalan just open a console. You just like, let's say if it's for that moment I was using GitLab, and I just have to set my GitLab runner and my GitLab commands, and the Catalan send the commands to the case. But I encourage you to watch the documentation so you can learn more about it. And since this is a paid feature, probably you will need a trial to see that one working.
Okay. Well, I got another question here that is from Carlos Arroyo. And he's asking, he says, thanks a lot, Andrea. You mentioned that it could do API testing through Katalon. For only API testing, would you recommend Katalon over Postman or Python framework? That's a
100%.
question.
100%. I would recommend Katalon. And why is that? Because you can do API testing with with the, I didn't show that, but you can do API testing without writing a single line of code. Remember what I mentioned of the manual script? So you just can drag the API of the web service object into the test case and call the function, let's say ws.send request, and you're gonna be sending your request. So you cannot do that on Python. You cannot do that on Postman because you have to write a script. So I will recommend 1,000 times. I would recommend Catalan over those tools.
Cool. Well, I just want to ask you one more thing about Catalan. And I saw that you, for example, when I saw sometimes that some tests they fail, but I would like to know if Catalan provides you a kind of print screen or something that prove what were the reasons the test failed or something like that. Is that possible doing it through Catalan?
Sorry, could you repeat the last part? You were cutting
That
out a little.
it is possible to make a print screen or something through Catalan, or at least record the test.
Sorry, you could that again. So repeat the question one last time.
No worries. What I'm trying to say, I'm gonna put it in other words. And for example, tools like Selenium or this robot framework, when something fail, you receive a report with the reasons that something failed. For example, in Selenium, you can use TSNG to create that kind of process. And with robot framework, you receive a report with the outputs. And what about Katalon? What are the
Okay, now I get it. Now I listen to you. Well, the great thing of Catalan is that you don't have just TSNG or singular reports. You have many things. You can set up your email. You can even set your notifications. And each time a test suite or a test case fail, you can call Jira. Also, Catalan is related with the test ops, which is tests and DevOps on the cloud. With when or in that cloud, you can connect Catalan with the Jira too. So there are many ways of sending the reports through the IDE.
Great. That's amazing. Thank you very much for everyone to join us today. You can check out our videos in our channel. So you are going to have a lot of interesting information about computers, programming, and about IT and technologies. So remember to follow us in every social media we had. You can find us in here in YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn, and also in Twitter. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Andrea, for this amazing presentation. And I hope to see you again next month. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Bye.